Welcome to Legendary Drops. My name is Ian. Blizzard has been in the news for all of the wrong reasons lately, which is, well, that's actually really not anything new, but it's not going to get any better now that they have announced that the WoW token is making its way into Wrath of the Lich King Classic. If you're somebody that has never engaged with Blizzard products in the past, you might be wondering, why are there so many people that are negative about Diablo IV? Why are there so many people upset that Diablo IV isn't like Diablo II? Or why are they saying that Diablo IV is going to be pay to win? To be honest with you, a lot of those people and a lot of those opinions are 100% valid. Is it probable? We can't say. Is it a possibility? It always is. I've played a lot of Blizzard games over time. I've played most of them, to be honest with you, and most of them are some of my favorite games of all time. Blizzard used to be one of my favorite companies of all time. I used to look up to them. Hell, I went to game design school, dropped out later, but went to game design school specifically because I wanted to work for Blizzard one day. I feel like that's true for a lot of people. If you're somebody that's new, this video is to explain to you why people feel the way that they do. And actually, this is more of a meta-level discussion on why we engage with games and game companies the way that we do, why we are so passionate about it. And spoiler alert, the people that hate Blizzard the most are the people that love their games the most. While this video does have Blizzard as a focal point, I do want you to keep in mind that this is a larger meta-level discussion on why gaming communities, and more specifically online communities, are most dissatisfied with the games they are fans of. Blizzard has made a lot of mistakes over the course of their tenure in the gaming industry. We'll go into a lot of that stuff later, but regardless of the industry, whether it's controversy or anti-consumer practices, the Blizzard game fandom seems to be the most vocal and devout in their dissatisfaction. It's easy to say Blizzard bad, gamer mad, but it's deeper than that. It's more personal. And I really want to key in on that. The Blizzard fans are the ones that are the most emotional, because it's not just their emotional investment into their favorite games, it's also the high expectations fans of those games have for the people that gave them some of the most valued gaming experiences in their entire life. Blizzard used to be the darling of the gaming industry. They were, and in some ways still are, a banger factory, developing some of the best titles, some of the most iconic titles in gaming history. This is the company that made Diablo, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and Overwatch. Each game so genre-defining that they literally created a new genre, or they influenced the way games were developed for years to come. That sets some insanely high expectations. And nobody expects the king to reign forever. However, it does make any mistake they make stand out very high in contrast to everything that the company has accomplished in the past. When expectations aren't met, fans are left feeling both disappointed and betrayed. Not to say Blizzard hasn't literally betrayed, because they've done that too. In the first video essay that I ever did on this channel, How World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV Change You, I talk about how influential games are on the actual gamer, and more specifically, how influential World of Warcraft was for me at one time. They had developed a world, Blizzard had developed this world that people could find an identity in. They could immerse themselves, find a community, become a part of something, make real life friendships. This game, and still is, incredibly important to a lot of people. When you have a game that is so iconic, so influential, at one point was a cultural phenomenon that means so much to so many people, any betrayals and mistakes cut far deeper than, say, Nintendo raising their games to $70 or Sony releasing a bad port. It hurts a lot, because the game means a lot to you. And the people that made that game at one point also meant a lot to you, because they're the ones that gave you that game. The thing is, this doesn't just exclusively extend to mistakes or betrayals. This also extends to just any change within the games at all. High expectations and personal investments inevitably lead to a fear of losing the essence of what made your favorite games beloved. And this is something that we're seeing very, very much in Diablo 4. We're seeing a lot of people that are upset with changes. They're upset that the game isn't like Diablo 2. And honestly, I remember being one of those people. I remember seeing the trailer for Cataclysm and immediately telling my friends that I would not be returning after Wrath of the Lich King. Changing the world that I grew to love. Changing class mechanics, talent trees. It made me feel as though the company didn't understand me anymore, didn't understand the fans of the game, and that fear ultimately drove me away from playing the game. Now, mind you, I had other pressures in life that were pushing away from the game, but at the time, Blizzard wasn't doing me any favors. Fans of Blizzard games are both experts and self-proclaimed experts on identifying issues with their games and with the company. The biggest fans of Blizzard's have experienced the products at their absolute height. We know what Blizzard is capable of. We know just how high quality of an experience that they can deliver. And as such, we are the first to call it out when they aren't delivering on the expectations and the promises that they've made over time. More recently, outside of Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft, Blizzard has made a habit of not delivering on, well, just about anything. This is magnified by each failure, every controversy, and every fumble they've made, ultimately making bad news an expectation rather than a shock. I can't tell you how many times I've seen comments like, Blizzard being Blizzard, or this is such a lizard move, or one of my favorites and probably yours, it's just Bobby's world, we're living in it. It's become an expectation. Every single time that I see a headline that pops up and it's mentioning Activision Blizzard, I'm assuming it's going to be negative news, because why wouldn't it be? For those that are the unanointed, let's take stock of Blizzard at the moment. Outside of World of Warcraft Dragonflight doing decently well, a lot of people really excited for Diablo 4, that's pretty much where the good news ends. Over the last few years, it's been hemorrhaging employees, mistreating employees, harassment, Warcraft 3 Reforged, Heroes of the Storm, Diablo Immortal, over-monetizing their games, the WoW token, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm not going to sit here and list every single bad thing that Blizzard has done because, well, to be honest, I don't have the time for a 40-minute video. Now, actually, I need to clarify something real quick because I brought up Diablo Immortal and I want to make sure that I'm really clear on something. I actually don't have any issue with Diablo Immortal as a game. I don't have any problem that they released it. I don't even care that it's pay to win. It doesn't bother me at all. Go make your money. Doesn't bother me. The issue is that Blizzard was so tone deaf at one time, and still is for the most part, that they felt that Diablo Immortal was something worthy of giving the BlizzCon treatment, that for some odd reason their fans would be excited to hear about a mobile game, a pay-to-win mobile game at BlizzCon, when they knew for a fact most of those people were sitting there waiting to hear anything about Diablo 4. Each misstep, each failure, each tone-deaf episode of Blizzard is making all of the fans of some of the most iconic franchises of all time feel more and more disconnected from the games and the communities that they're a part of. And that is a feeling that is completely valid. And in the face of everything that the company has done over the past 10 years, how could you blame anybody for trying to look at Blizzard in anything other than in a negative light? The only thing is that I wish as gamers, we wouldn't necessarily synonymize the poor actions of the organization with the organization itself. And I want to kind of clarify on that. I just feel like it's too broad of a stroke. Simply saying Blizzard is bad is lumping in a ton of hardworking, passionate developers, artists, and producers that genuinely do want to produce high-quality games that people love. I think we can all agree that from what we've seen so far with the Diablo 4 team, since the start of 2023, these guys are fans of the game. These guys want the fans to be happy. They want to make a game that we enjoy. Any fan of Blizzard games know that it's those that are in the top roles of management, and specifically the CEO, that are the problem. Now, I'm not going to fall down the Bobby Kotick rabbit hole. I could beat the drum all day. We could talk about every single mistake that Blizzard has made, but I think it's pretty clear to see, if you're anybody that has any keen business eye or understand what project management is like, you can easily tell looking at Blizzard that a lot of their struggles, a lot of the issues that their teams are having is specifically because people in upper management roles are far too involved in what's going on with their producers and their teams. And they need to let these people do their work, give them long enough deadlines, and let them be creative. Let them make products that they know that customers will love, because you need that goodwill to spend on mobile games and more monetization. So now that we've established why fans of Blizzard games are valid in their skepticisms and why they are so invested in the conversations around these games and why they are still in these communities, I'd like to talk about the cognitive dissonance that personal investment ends up creating. Our concerns, what we want, and what we will put up with don't usually matter, at least not on a larger scale. I've seen a few content creators make matter-of-fact statements about Diablo IV. As fans of Diablo II, they believe that their opinions are shared by a large portion of the Diablo community, the gaming community, and hell, even a general consumer census. What they don't realize is that gaming has grown to be so mainstream that the voices of the active community around, well, just about any game that's out there are completely drowned out by the sounds of printing cash. Now, once that initial hype dies down from a game coming out, casuals end up shipping out of the game, those hardcore fans might have their voices a little bit easier to hear later. But initially, there's no way. To contextualize this, take the active viewership of any game on Steam and compare it to the numbers of the actual sales figures for that game, and you're going to see what the vocal community looks like. And you might disagree with my numbers, and I completely understand for you not liking my estimates, but I'm talking about the vocal community. I'm talking about the people that are engaging with streamers, the people that are engaging with Reddit, or they're on Twitter and they're talking about the game. Those are the people that believe that they have the opinion of, well, most gamers, but most gamers aren't engaging with that kind of content. Only the most hardcore people are. You might think that you're casual because you're not engaging in leaderboards or you're not playing any games competitively, but that doesn't matter. Most people don't engage with content like that on any level. Now, to clarify, I do think that on average, most PC games and their developers are far more transparent and responsive with their community, just because those player bases are far more concentrated and the overall sales are usually relatively smaller. When we start thinking about games multi-platform, that's when things get really muddy. And that's definitely the case with something like Diablo IV, where a lot of people may think that they have an opinion that's incredibly important. It really doesn't end up being that important because there's so many people that are playing the game. Look, I loved runewords in Diablo 2. However, 80%, if not more, of the customers that are buying Diablo 4 have no idea what runewords are. They probably haven't even played Diablo 2. And honestly, they probably don't even have any interest in even knowing what runewords are. It's safe to assume that most people buying Diablo 4 are those that played Diablo 3. So while you may think that the community may be disappointed with the release, and your community, you may be right, many people see the game as a massive upgrade because the last game they played was Diablo 3. A lot of these people that are upset with Diablo 4 don't realize that they're part of a much smaller community than they think they are. They don't realize that their voices aren't as loud as they think they are. They feel like Blizzard is making bad moves with Diablo 4. They feel like Blizzard isn't listening to the players anymore or something like that. And I feel like it's important to make the distinction between Blizzard not listening to you and Blizzard being unable to hear you. If you look at something like the Diablo subreddit, the main Diablo subreddit, it has roughly like 380,000 people that are members there. That's 10% of the first 24 hours sales of Diablo 3. And I would actually say that most of the people, not most of the people, but I'm gonna guess that a decent portion of those people probably joined within the last year for Diablo 4 related content. Your voice is much quieter than you think it is. Your opinions are much smaller than you think they are. When we become part of these active communities that are around the games that we enjoy, we invest ourselves wholeheartedly. We tend to believe that our opinions appeal to a much larger audience than they actually do. But in all actuality, our opinions are a single scream against the crowd of a packed stadium. I'm not saying that these opinions that people have are necessarily wrong, because it's their opinion. It's things that they want, things that they love, and they're the ones that are invested in these titles. And honestly, I don't blame them for being upset for the things that they are upset for, because it's the stuff that they want. If it was things that I wanted in the game, I would probably be just as upset. as it stands, I'm really happy with Diablo and everything that they've done so far with Diablo 4. So I'm not necessarily on the side of a lot of their arguments, but I can understand why they feel their arguments are important, and I understand why they feel hurt that they're not heard. In a lot of instances, Blizzard is out of touch. In most instances, Blizzard is out of touch. And to be honest with you, I know there's a lot of people that are hoping that Xbox is going to save them in some way when they eventually have their purchase, but I don't really think that's going to be the case, because Xbox needs to save itself first. I have a video that I'm going to end up doing on that soon. But it's not only just the company that's out of touch, but it's also the gamers themselves that have gotten out of touch as well. We become invested in these games, as we should, because they have been incredible games that we've enjoyed for a really long time, but at the same time, we have to realize how far our voices can go. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to disagree with me on this, but the best way for us to be heard is to make sure that we're backing, you're going to hate this, content creators that actually have voices that are louder than ours. In my case, it's Asmongold. I love the dude. Some of his takes are not necessarily the best, but most of his takes, if not 95%, I'll give you 95. 95% of his takes are absolutely on point, perfectly solid. He actually does have the voice of the greater community in most occasions. I understand there's a lot of people that don't like his takes on Druid, but you have to understand that I've also had those same takes, and that's only in regards to just wanting all classes to play well for everybody. We want every class to feel good for those first few levels because, well, you may like the way that it feels, but not everybody does. Look, enjoy your games. Don't get too invested in the company, because whether it's Blizzard or CD Projekt Red or whoever else, they're all capable of failure. And ultimately, they're all ran by people that are looking for money. None of these people are our friends. Maybe the, community managers and stuff like that. Those guys are usually looking out for the players' best interest. They want us to be happy because, well, we're the people that they have to engage with the most. So those are probably the people that do have our best interests in mind. But for the most part, all these people are doing it. They're just doing their job. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm, again, not a fan of Bobby Kotick. I don't like the way the guy has ran the company. I don't like a lot of the consumer practices, anti-consumer practices that Activision Blizzard has had over the last few years. Honestly, I don't like the anti-consumer practices of any of the game developers over the last few years. But we just have to make sure that we're doing our best to use whatever means we can to make our voices the loudest, make our opinions, make sure our opinions, back up our opinions, and see that they actually do matter on a larger scale than we think they do. Invest your money right. And I'm not talking about buying stocks. I'm talking about just making sure that if you genuinely don't like Blizzard and their games and what they do, then don't buy their games. Make a stand. Don't purchase their stuff anymore. Unsub from World of Warcraft, or don't play StarCraft, or if it's for another game company or whatever it might be, don't buy their stuff either. You can still stay engaged with the community, but also try to motivate those people to do the same thing. Because even though I said before that only 10% of the Diablo sub makes up the first 24-hour sales, they still feel those hits when those hits come. It's pretty obvious with a game like World of Warcraft. They made some pretty large, hard, sweeping changes when they saw a ton of people go over and start playing Final Fantasy XIV. It is possible to make change in the gaming industry. It's just up to you to figure out what the best way to do that is. But the one thing that I have to say, and it's one of the things that I really hope happens within, the release of Diablo 4, is that I'd really like to see people try to cultivate a more positive community around gaming in general. As it stands, a lot of videos that come out are just overly negative. A lot of opinions online, whether it's Twitter or Reddit, are usually pretty negative. And negative always sells. It's always the most salacious. We love reading it. We love watching those dramatic videos. But at the end of the day, that's not healthy for us. It's not the kind of content that I want to produce either. I've had some times where I've made videos that, honestly, I didn't really feel very good about making them, because after I finished it, I was like, all I'm gonna do is just make a bunch of people mad. And to be honest with you, with some of my opinions, if I make you mad, I don't really fucking care. But I don't really want to make content that makes people upset in the first place. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. Love you guys. Sub to the channel if you guys enjoy the content. You guys can follow me on Twitch. I will have a link below. I'm going to start streaming live on there because I'm going to be honest with you. Streaming on YouTube, it's not very good. It's not very good. But if you guys enjoy the videos, make sure to sub to the channel. I try to make at least 1 to 2 every week. We have a podcast on this channel every Sunday at 2 p.m. PST. We talk about Diablo. We talk about all kinds of different stuff. So if you guys love games, love RPGs, this is definitely the home for you. Outside of that, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, and see you guys in Sanctuary.